friends, I hope you're doing really well and welcome back to another video. I have a bit of a sore throat today. I think it's my hay fever acting up, so if I sound a little bit scratchy in places, I'm really sorry in advance. With all this extra sunshine and earlier mornings and also smelling the flower petals in the air, it's really got me excited for some spring reads. So I think what I'm going to do first and foremost is create a spring TBR with you guys. If you've been here for a while, you'll know how much I adore reading seasonally. I'm a seasonal mood reader, and one of my favorite things at the start of each new season is to create a TBR for the coming months. I'm definitely in the mood for some lighter reads and also some whimsical fantasy. So if you're ready, do go grab yourself a cozy drink. I've got some barley tea with me again, and let's get into the video. Hey friends, so I spent actually quite a bit of time, a lot more time than I thought I would, planning my TBR out. As you will have seen from me jotting all the different books down, it's more of a dumping ground of all the different books that I would love to get to, and I know that this is very far-fetched. I don't think I'll be able to read possibly even half of these books this season, but I can dream. A good chunk of these books are books that I don't currently own because they're either new releases or I just haven't got round to buying them, but I'm really planning on utilizing my library more this season, hence why I decided to put down all the books that I don't currently own on paper as well, just in case I do manage to find them at the library. So pop my tea down and let me show you my journal. So this is my current diary. It's actually brand new, but I decided to go towards the back of the pages to create my spring TBR. I don't know how you guys use your diaries or planners, but I basically use mine to dump everything in my head down on paper. So it's got my weekly schedules as well as my day-to-day timetable, but I also have it as a place where I can track the books that I want to read. I of course use my Notion as well all the time, but it's nice to have a paper planner. So since I have a bajillion books written down before me, I thought I would just cherry pick a few and sort of talk through why I'd love to read it this spring. So what I'm going to do is start off with my physical TBR. These are books that I do currently own, and first up on this list is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen as well as Mansfield Park. Now I'm currently in the middle of reading Sense and Sensibility and I'm actually really enjoying it. I was a little bit nervous about picking it up because whilst I do love the majority of Austen's novels, I also find them at times to be a little bit I don't want to say boring. Sometimes I find myself myself disengaging a little from the story, but thankfully that hasn't happened yet so far with this one. So I'm really hoping it's going to be a favourite Jane Austen novel for me. Another book that I would love to get to is Emily of New Moon by Ella Montgomery. Of course, we all know how much I love Anne of Green Gables, but Emily of New Moon is a series that I haven't actually started before. I do own the copies, so I would like to read it. I also really need to get to The Black Moth by Georgia Ahya, which is a book that I've been saying that I'll be getting to for a long time, and it's definitely one of the oldest books on my TBR shelf right now, which is what I'm looking at. I don't want it to just sit there and not ever get read, so hopefully that's something I'll get to. And along the same veins, I really need to get to The Hobbit by Tolkien this year. If I don't read it this year, I don't think I'll ever get to it. Every single year I've been putting it down on my spring TBR. So if you go through my backlog of spring TBRs, I think I've made two. I think this is my third one now. I've most definitely featured The Hobbit in both videos. I would also really like to get to The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, and I don't really know if this is going to be a spring read in particular. I know it's magical realism, it's set in a library. I did manage to read a couple of pages. I haven't really officially picked the book up yet though, but from the few pages I read, I was really excited about where the story was heading. Overall, I'm just in a very fantasy mood, especially like light fantasy, magical realism, cozy books, as well as a bit of a romance, which is something I always tend to gravitate towards in spring. So moving on to new releases, a book I really want to get to is Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. Heather Fawcett has written some of my favourite books, and I'm so excited about her latest. I believe this story follows a woman called Agnes, and she runs a cat shelter. However, a magical duel takes place outside her shop one day, and it destroys most of the shop front. So she ends up having to find a new place to move into, and it happens to be the home of a very renowned magician. So I'm hoping for all the cozy atmosphere, a little bit of magic, lots of cute cats, and some really tender romance as well. So yeah, that's definitely one of my most anticipated reads. I'm also looking forward to reading The Legend of Lady Pyeoksa by Esther Park. It's a Korean book translated into English, and it's going to come out in the UK on the 19th of March. I don't really know too much about this, but the cover was so striking. It's giving all the Korean historical romance vibes, so I would love to be able to get to that this season. And another one is Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke. I think this one's like a historical fiction mystery thriller, but not only do I love the cover, but everybody I've seen over on Instagram who have had early access to the copy of the book, they've all been raving about it and saying that they are so taken aback with this story. I've just brought up the summary on my phone, and it's about a woman who sells her pioneer lifestyle of raw milk and farm fresh eggs to her millions of social media followers, except suddenly she wakes up to the brutal reality of 1805. I assume there's going to be a lot of commentary on the social media lifestyle, and I'm really intrigued to see what it's all about. I'd also love to read Behind Five Willows by June Her, another Korean historical fiction. I'm also just going to name drop a bunch of different new releases that I really would love to get to, because otherwise we'll be here forever and I don't know too much about most of these. So we have The Elsewhere Express by Samantha Sotoyambao. I Could Give You the Moon by Anne Liang. I would love to get to Sisters in Yellow by Mieko Kawakami, Minbak by Ella Lee, The Between Worlds B&B by Amy Mae Baxter, The Subtle Art of Folding Space by John Chu, In Time With You by Kristen Dwyer, as well as Lost Lambs by Madeline Cash. Now they're moving on to books I don't currently own but would love to get to. I think I'm just going to talk about two two in particular. I'd love to get to Death and the Gardener by Georgy Gospodinov. The paperback for this book was recently released and I've been dying to get my hands on it. I believe it's a story about grief between a parent and a child, and I think it's told with the image of there being a garden. So yeah, that's definitely something I would love to get to. And another one is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. I feel like this cover is so perfect for springtime, but I recently just finished rereading The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, so it's definitely put me in a mood to want to pick up this. Well, actually, I don't know if it's a sequel or not, but it's sort of got the same kind of title. And then in terms of rereading books is a goal that I gave myself at the start of this year, and I'm really happy with the progress I've been making. But for spring, a book that I would really love to reread is Flower Heart by Catherine Bakewell. I think I must have read this maybe 2 years ago now, but at the time I found myself really enjoying the flower imagery. I love that there was magic to do with flowers and that there was a bit of a romance as well. I don't remember it being the most elaborate story, but for the vibes and the atmosphere I remember enjoying it, so I'd like to revisit it this spring. And then finally, another book I'd love to reread is Welcome to the Hyunamdong Bookshop by Hwang Bodum. I think I picked this one up last year and I gave it 5 stars, but for some reason I can't actually remember what really happened. I think it's because it's another healing fiction genre, so the details aren't as important, I feel like, as opposed to the general comforting and soothing atmosphere it's supposed to create. It's a book following a burnt out woman who ends up running a bookshop of her own, and this bookshop gives a lot of comfort to not only her but to the locals around her. Since I gave it 5 stars last year, I really want to know it better inside out and remember all the details. So yeah, those are some of the books I'd love to read this spring that make up my spring TBR. If you guys are also planning your spring TBR, do let me know in the comments which books are on your priority, and if we share any, actually I'd love to know. So my camera did end up cutting here, but thank you so much for watching, friends, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Hope you guys stay safe, and I'll see you all very soon in the next cozy video. Bye, friends.